Our NICU is a level 3 NICU with 50 beds, and the gestational ages of the babies that we admit span from very preterm infants, around 22 weeks, up to and through term gestational age. We are an inborn unit, meaning our delivery room is right around the corner, and so we have a really big population of preterm infants and have worked really hard with our mothers to provide human milk to as many of those babies as we can. So the nutritional staff is really comprised of myself and my young colleague. I've been here for quite a while. In the state of Ohio, the average sort of nutrition to bed ratio is around 1 full-time equivalent neonatal dietitian to about 34 beds. And we work together with an excellent multidisciplinary team of physicians and nurses and lactation consultants, social workers, therapists, but what the neonatal dietitian brings to that is really a focus just on the nutrition and the outcomes with that nutrition so that we can work with the team to really improve both the nutritional intake and the outcomes that come with good nutrition. Nutrition is a very important part of their care. Once the respiratory status has stabilized, nutrition becomes a top priority. In the first week, we're looking at glucose, essential fats, protein, and electrolyte. So by the end of the first week, we really want sufficient calories for growth, protein to meet positive nitrogen balance, and of course micronutrients to provide all the essential cofactors for metabolic processes. Evidence suggests that good nutrition improves a variety of outcomes, including cognitive, neurodevelopmental, metabolic, visual. These are outcomes that are improved with really good nutrition, including the very first week, evidence that even that first week is so important to ensure really good outcomes for our babies. The nutritional targets that we use are based on the recommendations by Koletzko, Poindexter, and Wowie. These nutritional intake recommendations were published in 2014. For protein, we generally target about 4 grams of protein per kilogram, a bit more for our smallest babies, and for energy, around 110 to 130 calories per kilogram per day. We use a standardized approach to fortification, and by that I mean somewhere around 50 mLs per kilo per day of enteral feeds. We add a fortifier, sort of at half strength, 1 to 50 mLs of expressed human milk, and then somewhere around 75 or 80 mLs per kilo per day of enteral feeds, we increase to sort of a full strength fortification strategy. This would be 1 packet to 25 mLs of expressed human milk. Occasionally, if the baby's weight gain is slowing or the baby's BUN is dropping into the single digits, we may use what we call sort of an adjustable fortification approach. This is where we would use the BUN to sort of titrate the fortification up and down. And this works fairly well. The disadvantage of that is that we are sort of having to wait until the baby's weight gain is slowing or this BUN drops, and then we sort of react to that. It would be, much better if we could, prospectively adjust the milk to meet the baby's needs. The fortifier that we use is commercial, bovine-based. It's a sterilized liquid commercial fortifier. In addition to the commercial multi-nutrient fortifier, we will occasionally use modular products. We have a sterile liquid protein module that we use to adjust the protein content, and occasionally we'll use a modular fat to adjust the caloric density. we make every effort to meet the macronutrient targets that we've set for our babies, but I believe that often we are overestimating what we're giving them, and therefore they're not meeting the nutritional targets that we've set because we don't know what's in the mother's milk. And I suspect that occasionally we're giving more than we think we are, and giving them more than the recommended intake. So it's an estimate that we're using to, and we're trying to meet those targets, but it's based on estimates of what's in the mother's milk. Without knowing the macronutrient content of the mother's milk, really it's an estimate. What we're giving is an estimate. And so it's not individualized to that baby. Plus, it's not just the caloric intake and the protein intake, but the relationship between the calories and the protein. That protein-calorie ratio is really important, and that can inform not only the growth assessment that we make, but also a window into the body composition of the baby. When analyzing human milk in our NICU, what we have generally found is that the caloric and the protein density are less than what we've assumed. And sort of an interesting piece of that is that we can make a guess at the caloric density based on the visual inspection of the milk, because, you know, if you let human milk sit, it will separate. You can look at the cream layer and make a cream layer and make some estimate of the caloric density, but really the protein content we're really blinded to that. There's no way for us to tell the variability between one mother and another, or in that mother over time. So you asked the question of what would be the motivation to change from a standardized approach to fortification to a targeted approach to fortification. Well, the answer to that's really easy. The answer is that would allow us to individualize the nutritional intake of every baby. By knowing what's in that particular mom's milk, we can target the fortification individually for that baby, and that would really advance the care that we give. Now, there will be challenges that we have to face as we move from a standardized approach to a targeted approach. One of those challenges will be getting a true representative sample so that we know the analysis we're doing is on a representative sample of that mother's milk. But the challenges will be worth it so that we can give our babies the very best nutrition that we can.